Please meet the June 2023 DiabetesMine D-Data ExChange featured artists.
Hi there, my name is Dave. I create art about diabetes because ever since I was a kid, I've always been interested in art and design, and that's just been something that I've always gravitated towards. And then when I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at the age of 11, I found that art and design were a therapeutic and creative outlet for me to cope with my diabetes and allow me to apply what I go through in my journey and my life with diabetes every single day and apply that towards my art and design. I think visual imagery is important in dealing with a chronic illness simply because it allows people to connect with that visual imagery and also just relate to it on a certain level. It allows us to feel less alone, and it feels like somebody else understands exactly what we're going through.
Hi, my name is Janae, and I've been living with diabetes for about 14 years. I am the owner and creator of Diabetes Life, which is an online shop that's focused on merchandise and artwork centered around diabetes. I create artwork about diabetes because for a long time I was trying to find a way to connect with people through my artwork, and I was really struggling to find that strong connection, emotional connection. And then one day it just clicked that I already had a really real shared experience with a bunch of other people, and when I looked at the diabetic community and the artwork that was there, I just didn't see anything that looked like what I could create. So I went about creating artwork that made me happy in hopes that it would also make other people happy. Visual imagery is important with dealing with chronic illness because it's a form of communication that is universal. Everyone can understand it and take what they need from it. As it relates to people with chronic illness specifically, I think a lot of people living with a chronic illness really are just looking to belong, to resonate with something, to be understood in their experience. And I think if they're able to look and see artwork and visual imagery created by other people with chronic illness, they're able to receive a little bit of that support that they're looking for.
Hi, my name is Anna Morales, and I've lived with type 1 diabetes for 29 years. I create art about diabetes because it gives me an opportunity to better understand what's happening in my body and also to reflect on it. A lot of my early work was very research-based, so I learned a lot about diabetes that I didn't know before, despite having lived with it for almost my whole life. It's such a huge part of my life that I think it was bound to make its way into my work at some point. And now that I've spent over a decade making work about diabetes, I've found that it sometimes allows me to disconnect from the disease so that I am not so emotional about it, but instead I can approach it with curiosity or even sympathy towards my past self. I also find a lot of comfort in sharing it with others who have diabetes or another chronic condition, and there's great value in using it to enlighten someone who doesn't live with the disease or has little knowledge of it, because it's relatable and it can transcend the boundaries of verbal language. It's hard for me sometimes to explain to someone how I'm feeling, so having a creative outlet helps me figure out first for myself what I'm feeling, and it also helps create a space where conversations can happen more easily because you have this object that you can talk about instead of having all of the attention on yourself, which can feel very vulnerable.
The thing that I would want doctors and industry developers to know about living with diabetes is that it is tough. It's tough to do what we do every single day, and what makes it even more tough is that a lot of people don't have access to healthcare, supplies, and devices that they should have access to. At this point in time, some of these things should be easily accessible and attainable to any person. I know we've done leaps and bounds over the years and things have improved, but I hope we can collectively keep this top of mind and continue to push, because I know we can do better.
We all know that access to insulin is essential for survival, but access to CGMs and insulin pumps and other medical devices is also critical. It gives us a higher quality of life and some peace of mind. It allows parents to have some insight on their diabetic child's well-being whenever they're away at school or with a friend. It's not enough to make these items a little more accessible for the insured. They should be accessible to everyone who needs them.
The thing that I would want doctors and other industry developers to know about living with diabetes would simply be that this disease is not easy, and there are a lot of moments of burnout and frustration. However, just because a certain number may not reflect that, we are still trying our very best each day, and that is definitely worth celebrating.